I've been tuning you since 2019. And look at this, it's 111 my time. And I know are you in Mountain Time or Central?
I'm Central. I'm 311.
Okay.
So it's
111 for me. And
it's
we're at the
411 on the
twos.
411 on the East Coast.
Yep, I've got that one up. I've got my clock up at that
Yeah,
time.
let me pull up my
Good. It's all good.
I'm just going to pull up the show on my Facebook on my phone so I can at least see the comments from Facebook on my page, just in case there's anything pops up we might want to entertain.
Yeah.
And I'll let me just go ahead and tag you. I'll tag you while we're waiting. We already got 10 people in. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, we're getting a lot more people. I've noticed, I guess, I don't know if there's a lot more people that are leaving Facebook because it used to be like, if we had 100 people, it'd be 40 people on my page, 40 people on YouTube, and 20 on the other pages. Now it's YouTube. Like the last show was about 50 on YouTube and 20 on my page and 20 on the other pages.
Yeah, I saw that. I just tuned in a little bit to the last show, and I watched two of the shows yesterday. I tune in when I can. I actually will listen to it when I'm driving on my phone next in the seat. Yeah.
Man, very cool. Yeah, we were putting them on the podcast, the audio podcast for a while. A lot of people have written me.
Yeah, I didn't listen to that. But yeah.
When we're going to start doing that again, but I guess we will in time. I don't really know. Okay, so we're sitting here in typical Soulogy fashion, getting to know somebody new on a personal level in front of a bunch of other people. Sonya Walder. She's been
Sonya, Sony, Sonya.
Sonya.
Yeah.
It's my Texas accent. I'm sorry.
Well, you might know a Sonya. That's okay. I'm used to it.
Sonya. I thought they were the same.
No,
I don't know.
There's a little bit different. Yeah, I'm definitely a long O, Sonya.
Sonya. Yeah. Sonya Walder is in the house. Wisdom. And she's like the rest of us. She's crazy, weird.
Check out my backdrop. That makes me very weird. My portal back there.
What is that?
It's actually a yoga mat, and it's the angelic portal. There's several of them. They're created by Wizard Azanon, who made the Oracle Starseed, the Starseed Oracle deck that I got. And this was actually a gift from my light community for my birthday last year in June. Wow. So this is my yoga studio I'm in, and that is the backdrop, the angelic portal.
So what part of the world are you in?
I am currently in Oregon. I'm living in Portland, and I'll be moving to Central Oregon at the end of June once my youngest son graduates from the system he wanted to do with high school.
The system.
The system. It is. It's programming, and then I have to spend a lot of time deprogramming, Todd. Think for yourself. What does your heart say? Feel. You don't need that. The piece of paper means nothing. Go live your life. Go get some experience. They have choice. You've got a bunch of kids. I've got a bunch of kids. They have to make their own choices.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they do. We were in Portland in 2019. It's a very beautiful place. Very beautiful place.
It is. It's just really crowded and overpriced now. It's lost its charm. Definitely. So, and I'm called to be in a smaller area in more nature, creating intentional community. I feel like we all are kind of being called to do that. I definitely am.
Where are you going, to Ashland?
No, Ashland is not calling me. My oldest son, he lives in Springfield, Eugene. And so we're going to move there to help my youngest son just kind of adjust. My youngest son is a very powerful healer as well. And he's in denial. He's 17 and he needs some time to adjust. He's a little slower. My oldest son and I are very quick. We're travelers. We adapt easily. But it's really Mexico. It's actually where Pam Johnson lives in Puerto Escondido. That's where we're called to go.
Oh, are you going to go to Mexico?
We're going to go visit. And I actually messaged Pam on Facebook because she and I have been Facebook friends since like 2010, I think. And I'm like, Pam, my sons and I would love to come and make a road trip since Mexico is open and, we don't have to follow all the blah, blah. And we could just get in there. And she's like, oh my gosh, I would love it. I said, we can come see you and your cats. And we have 2 cats, so we could bring them and all of that. So she's excited. And then I have other friends and clients who either live there or bought property and are building a home there. So Oaxaca State is amazing.
That's in on the Yucatan, right?
It is on the Pacific side. It is. And Oaxaca is a really high vibe area. It's a really incredible place. Have you been?
No, I've been to Puerto Vallarta and I've been to a lot of the border towns because I grew up in South Texas. Yeah. I haven't talked to Pam in a while. I understand. I talked to a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, and I understand she just, I think, is getting over COVID.
Is she? Yeah, she hasn't posted in a long time.
Yeah, I think she's off Facebook. I think she got put into Facebook jail, and she just said, "F it."
Good for her. Good for her.
Maybe that's why so many people are watching the shows on YouTube. It's interesting because it's happened over the last, maybe like right at the first of the year, right around maybe winter solstice.
Well, I feel like when it froze for that big 5-hour thing, a lot of people got off of it. But I mean, I finally got the bitch slap from Facebook that I violated its protocols by saying, "I love you all," heart, rainbow heart emojis. And I was really just like, are you fucking kidding me? So I took a screenshot and I posted it on my wall, Todd. And I was just like, I'm on here, people, because you all still find me on here and I'm helping you as a healer. But if it wasn't for you people being on here, I would literally be off of this. I would not be on the station.
Well, there was a period of time there, and maybe it was, say 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after the solstice. You mentioned that 5-hour thing. That I was getting a lot of messages from people, and they were saying, "Why are you removing my comments from your show?" And I'm like, "I'm not." And even like in your case, like Morgan had 2 or 3 comments that were just hearts and stuff. But a lot of people actually getting flagged for that kind of stuff. I never got one, but I have noticed that there's been a real uptick in the suppression of the group and even of the on the algorithms with the show. And maybe that's another reason more people are going to YouTube, because like I said, it used to be kind of 50-50, and now it seems to be about 75-25. So getting a lot of traffic, a lot more traffic on YouTube.
On YouTube. I tune into you on both because I'm on both, but I definitely would prefer to go to YouTube. And I mean, I have a YouTube channel. People prefer, I don't have much activity on Facebook other than people looking at the light language that I post on the groups. But other than that, I post on YouTube. More, my vlogs are actually on there, and then I'll just post the pictures, screenshots of my light language.
So just looking at your energy, you're obviously ET origin.
Oh, totally. There's so many people that want to know if I'm human, and, and there's so many points to this, Todd, that I want to share, but go ahead, say all of that. Cause there's so much.
I was just going to ask you, we ask people this a lot, like, and I always make a joke out of it, have you always been this weird? But did you have a wake up experience? I mean, a lot of people come on here and they say, I was born with it. It went away. And then through a series of traumas, typically, it came back. And, and that's when I got on the road on or about 2012. Some people, it's 10 years earlier. People like Pamela, 1987, and other people, 2016, 2017, 2018. I mean, did you have anything, profound happen that kind of like jolted you?
I was born awake. I remember my birth. I was fully conscious in my first, I would say 10 years, that first decade. And I was born in 1968. So that was when everything was really dark anyway. And we were just, I was born during the Vietnam War, blah, blah, blah. And I had memories, and I shared this actually on my webinar that we just had in January, one of my Galactic webinars. I had memories. I was literally quantum jumping into other lifetimes, not only on this planet, but on other planets. And there was a life that I jumped into where I was this giraffe-like being. And we were on this planet, and I was told by my guides that it was pretty close to the Milky Way. It wasn't very far from the Milky Way. And I remember the feeling, and it's really about feeling. I mean, we feel all of this energy, and we're very feeling oriented because it's all vibration. So I'm feeling the skin of the body with the 4 long legs. And the skin is like a skin with a little bit of very short, fine fur to it, kind of like a giraffe. And I'm having deja vu right now, Todd, as I heard that ding. I'm having deja vu right now. Very powerful. Okay. So the skin had these little pastel, almost like this color and pink and magenta little rosettes in it. I remember the very fine details. I remember how I felt. I felt very powerful. I felt very gentle. There was this beautiful tropical lush jungle that I lived in. And now my sister in this life, her name was Julie. She was the giraffe, like being next to me. We were very telepathic. There was this fruit hanging from this tree, and it was like the most delicious, almost like a cross between a mango, passion fruit, and guava, like those three combined, and then like magnify that like a lot. And it smelled like that, and it tasted like that. And I remember my tongue coming out and grabbing the fruit and bringing it into my mouth and chewing it, and my entire being like just became so full with electricity. And then all of a sudden, I'm like looking around, I'm asking, where is this telepathically? And my sister's telling me. And then she's looking at me and she's saying, I think we're having, what did she say? She said, I think we're seeing the same life. And I said, Julie, I said, are we us or are we these beings? And she said, we're both. And I got sucked back into my body.
Wow.
And I'm in the body.
How old were you when that happened?
Well, I got sucked back into my body, and I looked down, and I look on the sides. There's these wooden bars on the sides, my crib. I look down, and I'm wearing this yellow fuzzy sleeper with a little bunny insignia patch on it, with a little flap that snaps over the front. And I'm like, my hands are all chubby. And I looked at my hands, and the guides were right there. And I asked, where am I? And they said, you're in the body of Sonia. I said, who's that? And they said, you're a baby girl now. Oh, okay. Then I kind of rolled over, and I think I might have been about 6 months.
Wow.
So I remember like learning to walk. I remember the feeling of the spackled wall underneath my hands. And I remember that I could energetically put my hand through the wall, and I would go into another time, another dimension. My mom was very focal to me. I remember seeing her and knowing she had been my mom before. I kept confusing my sister with my mom, because the last life my sister and I had, she was my mom. So I kept calling her mommy, and I go, oh, that's right. I remember being 2 and saying, that's right, you're my sister in this life. And she would go, Sonia, you're so weird. I remember my brother and I were lovers in another lifetime. I remember I felt attracted to him at age 5, at age 4. I remember my father in different lives. I remember when I would see everybody, I would remember other lifetimes that we have together. And I would just verbalize this, Todd, to everybody in my world. It was just normal to me. I would see, I'd see dead people, that movie cliche, but I would always see people's loved ones that had crossed over to the other side. And I would just speak it out loud. Or like my best friend's mom was pregnant, and I knew she was pregnant. And I said to her, when your baby's born, can I help you with her? And she was like, oh, she was shocked. She sent me home to my mom. And she called my mom, and she said, Sonia said this. And my mom said to me, sweetie, when I got home, this was in Chicago, my mom said, sweetie, you can't say that to people. And I was like, and I was 6. And I said, why? And she said, because she hasn't told her husband she's pregnant yet. And I was like, but she's pregnant, and I can see the little girl. And it was a little girl named Anne. And I'm like, I could see all of that. My mom said, I know, honey, you're special, but we can't just say that stuff to people. So that started to shut me down a little bit, Todd, is what happened. And as I interacted with people, and I would just share with them everything I would see, which was normal. And this is a normal human condition. I'm not special. I just happen to have mine naturally turned on because I meant to be a teacher in this life of all of this, and to help everybody else to activate again, which is what I do. So I learned over time to get quieter and quieter and quieter, because then people would be like, when I'd say stuff to them like that, I'd share information. Oh, your grandmother's right there, by the way. She wants you to know that she loves you. What? Oh, you're so weird. Are you even human? And people would see my auric field. And so they would ask me if I was, are you from Star Trek? Or are you an alien? They would ask me that all the time. And after a while, because I was so sensitive, I would just finally say to them, yes, I'm an alien. No, I'm not human. Go away. Because they would be in my face. And
now, is this happening? If I understand correctly, this happened, and not that it didn't continue, but did you say that it up until 10 years old?
Well, it happened until it never stopped really. But when I was 10, I had an abusive incident happen in my family, and the rage that came from being abused shut me down.
Wow.
And then my guides were there, but it was a slow progression into adolescence as my hormones kicked in. And I got more involved in the media. I got more involved. I mean, we watched television all the time. I mean, come on, it was late 60s, 70s, early 80s. That's what everybody did. The food, bad food, processed food. My body was getting sick. I had energy trying to come through me, and I got shut down. My mom was my first teacher. My mom was actually a psychic. And so, and it was very much in the closet, but we talked about this normally. We were all telepathic with each other. My siblings, my mom and I were. My sister and I used to remember we remembered our lives in the Sirius star system on what I think scientists call Sirius A. And we remember living in the oceanic planet, having gills on the sides of our neck and behind our ears. And we'd go down in the lakes, in the Great Lakes states where I grew up. And we were like, we'd go underwater and then we would talk to each other telepathically. My sister and I did. And so we would go like, what happened to the gills? Like I miss the gills. I can't breathe underwater.
So you actually had a family unit in the physical that you could actually discuss these things with, right?
Yep, except for one person. And that's Pastor Dave, my father.
Pastor Dave.
My father's a minister. And so we could not with him, even though he was a hands-on healer. He had heat come from his hands.
What an inverted typical, or I say an atypical scenario, because obviously most people that come on the show, they're the rainbow sheep of the family, right?
Well, I am, but it took me a long time to figure this out. My family repressed it and shut down.
Okay.
And I took it further. My sister had some memories. My brother had some memories, but they really shut themselves down. And I blossomed. Mine just came out. And literally, I mean, I was guided to do this work. When I lived in New York City for a long time. I had a Broadway career a long time ago. And as I'm, trying to make it on Broadway and do a whole stage and television life, the guides are literally like dumping Shirley MacLaine's Out on a Limb on my head, that book from the script store and all of that. And anyone who was awakening, like Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda was given to me by a spiritual teacher. Spiritual teacher showed up for me from the age of 18. I was psychically tested when I was 17 by a psychiatrist that I went to for migraine headaches and for therapy. And he had a biofeedback machine, and he had me learn to control the machine, and I did it instantly. And he was just having me control the needle. And I was easily with my mind holding the rod in my hand. And he's like, okay, you can put the rod down. And he said, I just want you to know, like, that doesn't happen. I said, what doesn't happen? He said, when I told you to put the needle at these specific points with your thought, and you just held the needle there, that doesn't happen. You're psychic. I was like, he said, this just proved it. You have total mental control. You can control your energy easily. So he said, let's figure out how to get your energy to control your migraines. So these are things that have always happened to me. I was in denial when I was a teenager. And I was in denial in my early 20s when I was trying to have a big Broadway. And then I moved to Hollywood and tried to have a Hollywood career because that wasn't accepted. But I will tell you, Todd, I became an astrologer in 1989 with my brother. And I was giving secret psychic astrology, numerology readings in the backstage. Everybody go, oh, Sonia's here. She's a psychic. She can help you with your answers. I'm like, hang on, let me just get my lines, or let me get my song, or let me get my music first. And then I'd go back and I literally they'd have a piece of paper. I would literally look at their birth date and I could just do a reading just from their birth numbers. I sometimes didn't even need a chart. That was going on since the very late 80s. So
so when did you fully go into what you're doing? When
2005, after the birth of my youngest son. 2005, I started teaching yoga and Pilates, and I was already a yogi, and started teaching it in private classes and group and sessions, and in people's homes and in community centers. And the readings would just come out. I'd have people lying on the floor. I'd have them be doing supine twists, or they'd be doing happy baby or whatever. And information was coming out. I'd walk around and I'd start channeling. I was assessing them, their posture and all of that. And because I had a professional dance career before I did any of this, and that was during my Broadway career and all of that. So going into movement and teaching dance and teaching movement was easy for me, but the channeling was always coming out. So it was just, people would literally come to my classes and they'd go, not only do I feel great physically, but I'm going to get wisdom from Sonia. She's going to give us, you always say all these amazing things. And I would say to them, I don't plan it. It just happens. So that just continued throughout teaching. So I went into teaching yoga full time. And that's literally how I supported myself and my kids. And I would just channel, especially at the end. There's a corpse pose called Shavasana, where you rest at the very end of the practice. And that's when all of this information, sometimes I would sing mantra, and sometimes I would channel wisdom, and people would lay there crying, and they'd come up to me after class and they're like, whatever you said, that was exactly what I needed to hear. I don't know how you knew that. I didn't. I'd always tell them, I'm just channeling. It's not me.
So, and what about these experiences that you had in the first 10 years, such as putting your hand through the wall and essentially reaching into another incarnation that you've had?
Falling into other dimensions. Sometimes I would go into fevers, into a high vibration, and fall into another dimension and get trapped, and my mom would have to come get me out.
Wow.
It was intense.
Nice to have a mom like that.
My mom knew. She's very, very sensitive. She's a sun, moon, Scorpio. They know.
And so, like, in terms of like the planet that was near the Milky Way, when you were a giraffe type of being, or Sirius A, or any other,
we're mer beings, and we're whales and dolphins and all of that.
Those, have you been able over the years to pick up information, useful information from those incarnations that you've applied here? Like, can you give us some examples?
Totally. Well, there's only now. It's always about here. We came to this planet. We came to Earth, and all beings on this planet are from another system. This is an experimental planet. This is an experiment in diversity. There's no other planet that is this diverse other than Earth. And we came here to experience absolute difference and to honor that, to respect it, to learn from it. We came here to gain knowledge on a very low vibration. And I'm told that there's only a few other planets that are this low in vibration. This is really one of the lowest vibrational planets that there is. And those of us that come here, we are ancient souls, ancient, in timelines, meaning we have a lot of experience. Many of us come here through all the different galactic federations. There's many different galactic federations, Galactic Federation of Light. I happen to be a member of. I'm told you are as well, Todd, you and Morgan and your children. There's so many of us that are members of the Galactic Federation of Light. So is Pam Johnson and Lisa Transcendence Brown as well. So many of us. And there's different galactic feds. There's the High Council of Light. I'm told that they created quantum healing hypnosis that I practice, that Dolores Cannon is a part of, and Dr. Masaru Emoto, the water doctor, is also part of. We're all part of those different councils, and we want to come here and we want to experience difference so that we can learn. And the duality, the dualistic aspect of that is what we're in now. The darkness being brought up, which is us. The darkness is us. It's our shadow. And I know I heard on the shows yesterday that you were talking about loving your shadow. And today with this, the 2 gateway that we're in right now, which is about duality. This is about, I am self, and I must see my mirror reflection, and I must see my darkness in order to learn. And we have to love our shadow. We have to love our darkness. And we came here to experience that, because on other planets, there is not that. On the planet where I'm this giraffe-like being and I'm eating this delicious fruit, there is no contrast. It's total bliss. And that's beautiful. And that's wonderful for that. Or in the Sirius star system, we did experience that in lower vibrations. We've now moved out of that. We have evolved and ascended higher than that. Same in the Pleiadian star system. I'm also an Arcturian being in Arcturus. And I've tapped into that through several of my own quantum healing hypnosis sessions that I received. I am more of what we call a negative polarity, or a feminine energy. I have my own Arcturian children, you could say, that are my children that I created myself without another one to help me. I've done that all on my own. We can procreate ourselves in Arcturus. And these are lives that we have in order to experience being very bliss and being very high vibrational. We wanted to come here and experience being very low vibrational. We want to experience the contrast because it shows us other aspects of ourselves that we can't get there. So when I come into my center, and when I'm just breathing and being here, I feel this constant electricity. I feel this constant expansion and contraction. And there's all these codes, the light language. And everything is about be here in 3D now, love 3D. If we don't love 3D, we're never going to love 4D, and we're never going to love 5D or higher. And that's one of the biggest messages that comes from all of those other planets and those other star systems. We love ourselves there. Why aren't we loving ourselves here? That is the point of this time of end times, from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age. Love all of this. Love the chaos. Love the darkness. Love all of them. Love the ones who we think are controlling the show, all of it. It's really us. Mm-hmm. It's all us.
And so in regard to that, and I kind of ascribe to that. We're all, obviously all of those things, like you said, the things that you have had opened up in you from the beginning, it's available to everybody. The lineage, be it galactic or otherwise, is part of everybody. And then we have the human aspect. Where does the human aspect fall from your perspective when you have this, these points of context, the contrast of Sirius and of the aquatic beings and of the giraffe planet and so on? Where does the human species stand, let's just say, in the star family community?
We are, from what I feel, and what I'm told, is that we're still not ready to join the Galactic Federation of Light. Let's bring that one up. There's many galactic federations, but let's bring up that one. We're not ready to join them yet because we are not all cohesive as a collective. We are still separated in our perception as a collective. Why? Because we're not loving ourselves enough.
Well, let me interject there. Because I just have a curious mind, and it's no disrespect or anything like that.
Go ahead.
But I mean, obviously, Pamela included, myself included, many of us that listen and are in these communities and otherwise have had clear memories of the Galactic Wars. The Galactic Wars did not occur here on Earth, and there was definitely, from what I can tell, my own dimensional experiences, everywhere you go, there's polarity. There just happens to be maybe the widest expanse of polarity here. But this, this narrative that comes from the galactics, and I personally feel, just as a point of context, that I feel like the galactic aspects or the galactic community, however we want to put this, are the facilitators of this experience here on Earth. I can certainly, and I know many people would probably be able to relate to this. I don't see that it starts and stops with the galactics. I would say to myself, I come from beyond the galactics. I have a lot of discussions with the galactics, and I would call them like a come to Jesus meeting. Like, we're the ones down here doing the work. I'm not going to feel small. And if I take that type of thought process, and I also combine that with the fact that many people like yourself that have the types of gifts that you have come on this show and said that there are billions, literally billions and billions and billions of souls that are lined up to come here for the Earth experience. So there must be some huge payoff at a soul, therefore universal level, by the experience and the opportunity and the potential that it offers for a soul and for the universe. So I guess my question is, in that narrative, if that's the case, have all the galactics that make up these federations reached the point where they're walking on water, so to speak? I mean, are they that different than we are, or is it just a situation where we have forgot who we are by the perfect design that we put together that we all had a hand in? I mean, I just don't know that that narrative really resonates, because it is the human still small. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, what do you know about this in terms of what we need to do? Why are we small? Are we small because we're not accepted into that environment? I mean, give me some feedback on that, if you would.
I don't feel that we're small. And I love what you said. I feel that. I don't feel that we're small at all. It's all about our self-realization. It's about us realizing this ourselves. The galactics are ready for us when we are ready for us.
Well, let me ask you this. Are the galactics still in polarity? Are there still differences?
I feel that there are some galactics that are in polarity and some that aren't. I feel that it's varying. It's different levels, because it depends on what each soul group, what each collective wants to experience. And of course, as you know, Todd, we're all fractals of all of this. We are the lower vibration of all that's going on in higher perceptions, or in more focused, more conscious perceptions. We are still deluding ourselves. It's just us doing this to us.
Of course.
We are already there. We are already immense. We are already source. It's the realization of it. And when we realize this, that's when we vibrate higher. That's when our resonance goes up. Our frequency goes up. I see the galactics. I have seen galactics with my own human physical eyes. I can see between the veils because I vibrate higher. There are many of us that are vibrating higher on this planet already. And those of us that are vibrating higher, it's our job, it's our mission to help those that aren't, to love themselves more and to help them heal so that they do vibrate higher. Because it's up to us to help our whole collective to raise its collective vibration so that we are more cohesive, so that we are resonating, so that we can raise our vibration enough to then finally start to interact on a physical level, on a very physical level with our galactic brothers and sisters. They've lowered their vibration enough that we can see ships. We can see sometimes portals. We can see other dimensions. Many people can. And there are people who aren't even vibrating very high who have these experiences, around the world, because that's an awakening for them. Hey, you're galactic. Wake up. We're going to lower our vibration enough to let you know you are Andromedan. So we're going to bring our ship down so you can see us, so you can remember who you are. And then they're like, oh my God, did I just see a UFO? Oh, da, 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 da. And then that's a spark of awakening for them that helps them to raise their vibration. So we are ready, but we think we're not ready. So if we think we're not ready, then we're not ready. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, this is not, I'm just trying to break through to, I question the galactics. I don't just take what they say. Now, obviously, when you get a certain transmission, you just feel it in your body and it's all benevolent. It's all, it's all aligned. But I in my own experience, and then just observing what happens in these communities, there is at a minimum a representation by those that say they're galactic or channeling galactics that have agendas, that have specific focuses. They have agendas, and I'll just give you an example. Yeah. I started, once I came off the street in 2013, I got a computer and I started to visit all these different groups, all these different galactic groups and what have you. And, from that time, I've seen and still see a very common channeling that the words are moved around. They say the same damn thing. Okay. I am the Arcturians. I am the Andromedans. I am the Pleiadians. You're almost there. There's a carrot on the stick. Just keep going. Don't give up. The dark has been moved out now. Last week, there's white hats in the government. There's some variations of the narrative, but it sounds like a program to me. It sounds disempowering to me because it's no different than a reliance on an external religious icon brought to us by different religions over the years, or that type of thing. So my question is, what is it that says who is it that says that these souls that are embodied within these human bodies are not on the same level as these galactic federations? Who says that? And what is the criteria for that?
I feel that it is us who says that. It is exactly what you said, being a program. I feel that it is our ego. We believe it. It is a program that we're not, ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to interact with them physically. I'm there. I know that as souls, we're all galactic and we're a galactic human. And that's what we are really coming into, is becoming our galactic human selves. But it's a process of discovery. It's the discovering of it. And what I feel is that we love the discovery aspect of it, which is why we came here to this planet, to forget and then to rediscover, because there's new aspects of it that we can always discover. The discovery process of it never ends. There's always something new to get out of awakening. And so we repeat this because we love it. We enjoy it. We love the repeat. We love reincarnating. We love our vibration low. We love the drama. We love the ego. We love the mind. We love the stories. We love the fantasies. Why else would we be so taken with media, with movies, with all of the Harry Potter, with all of that? We love the process of this. And something that I'm feeling here is, I keep hearing the process is essential. Don't take away, I'm hearing this, don't take away from the process of awakening. Don't try to get to being the galactic humans. You're galactic humans. Be in the process of it, because the process is juicy. The process is very revealing and you enjoy it. This is why humans were told to slow down. That's why we were stopped. We were stopped in 2020, which I was told was really the Mayan calendar year of 2012, is we were stopped then so we can slow down, take a breath, and enjoy all of this revealing. Otherwise, it would have happened like that. How many of us were expecting the great solar flash in the event? I know I was.
I wasn't.
I remember many of it in other timelines. There were great solar flashes in other timelines. I just saw a portal right here. I was waiting for that. I was told in 2011 that was going to happen, and I was waiting for it. Well, I did not expect it.
And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. How many people in October 2019 came out and said we're going to have a solar flash in October 2019 because some galactic star family or star system channeled that down to a certain individual? This was I don't want to name any names, but prominent people out there. Yep. And then it comes and goes, and we act like it never happened, and then we jump right back on the practitioner saddle or the forecaster, our prognosticator saddle, and it's like we forget that these predictions were wrong. I mean, I just at some level understand that there's a physicality to those things that we can't see at this time, because we're not able, we haven't quite jumped or took the jump beyond the visible light spectrum. So there are things that are in our physicality that are really operate in the same we do, that have an egoic quality to them, although it might be less of an influence on their field of their being. Now, I guess what I'm trying to say is that why would it be that so many people had this come down the pike and it didn't happen, yet we're still chasing this carrot on the stick? Now, at the same time, I have a total appreciation of what you said in loving the 3D, loving the 4D, loving the 5D, loving the process, loving being human. The human is the hero. So it's almost like as we approach, everything is upside down. And what we thought was this latest and greatest is actually the opposite of that, not to take anything away from that or the role that it has or the influence it has on our evolution, but the fact that we have been, let's just say, the low species on the totem pole, when in fact we are experiencing life, in our eternal life in this moment, in the most universally seeded planet, with the most vast expanse of polarities, which means that we have the largest palette to paint the picture with, right? Yeah. I mean, there just seems to be like a kind of a leapfrog potential here where we rise above. I mean, I look at it like this, like we talk about galactics. The galactics are in my makeup. We all have our own stories, visitations, abductions, dimensional, interdimensional, apparitions, whatever it may be, whatever your clair is. But there's also more to it than that, I would think, such as the angelic, such as the elemental kingdom, and such as other types of species, we might use that word, that we don't even know about, such as giraffes on another planet. Like, I don't know. I just don't see the galactics being the end all cure all. I see them being
They're not. They're
facilitator.
Not.
And if we came into this life with these lives behind us, then we're already that.
We are already that. Right. That's the realization of it. That was really good. Here's what I want to say about the event. I want to go back to that for a moment. With the event, the great solar flash that many of us saw that didn't happen. And then you're right. There was no resolve in that. There was no, hey, what happened? 2012 is supposed to bring us this great solar flash, or 2020. What happened with the big sun thing? Right. There's multiple aspects to that. And of course, there's multiple aspects to all of this, because we know there's not one answer, because we're multidimensional and there's parallel lives happening. There's multiple star systems happening. Everything is in multiverse. There's not one universe. There's a multiverse. So I saw 6 other Earth ascensions from the time I was very little, where there was the galactics coming down. And there was a galactic war on this planet. Now, I know there were the Orion wars in the Orion star system. I was a part of that. But I was remembering from the time I was very little that there was a war on this planet, and we blew this planet up, and then there was a restart. Then I remember another one, and it kept going until there was this huge solar flash, but it was too much. And so what I was told from the time I was in my 20s is that we're not going to do it that way this time. We're going to slow it down. We're going to do it in balance. And we're going to shift from one age into another age, not battling ourselves on such an extreme level. We're going to take this dark and light duality, and we're going to bring it in. We're going to bring it internal, which is why what we're experiencing now is bio warfare. This is biological warfare going on. And so we have to learn to go within. So everything was without before, is what I was told. And so everything's been brought in now, so that we have to go in and find our answers within us, because multiverse is within, the cosmos are within, they're within ourselves. So those of us that remember that great solar flash, it was happening in other realities, but it didn't happen in this reality.
You could call those other realities simulations.
You can call them simulations.
If you look at it from a, let's just say we are the creator, without getting too lost in semantics and definitions, but that we're basically running a primary timeline with many, many other simulations running concurrently, that we're choosing from, that we're figuring this stuff out from. That would make sense to me.
That makes sense to me as well.
Yeah.
So it's not that it didn't happen. It's not that the great solar flash didn't happen. It just happened in other timelines.
Right.
It didn't happen in this timeline. Did we jump from that timeline into another timeline as a collective? We could have. Do I have cognizance of that? Not fully. I have some kind of fuzzy, blurry cognizance of some things happening between 2011 and 2020. There's multiple jumbled things. I am aware of time jumping, of quantum jumping many times, and I'm never quite sure where we're standing as a collective in timeline, simply because we time jump so much. We do it so quickly. And I'm also really focusing more on being now. I didn't always used to focus on being now. I think we all are in that. I used to focus so much on the future. I used to be a very future thinker, and I just want to focus on what I'm creating and getting there. And that was coming from ego. And so now, since I'm so focused on now, and allowing it to unfold in front of me. Now I'm really feeling and understanding with the clairs and with my human body as well. I'm really understanding there are so many different energies, frequencies, vibrations, and timelines happening that we could, I mean, there's a plethora of them. We could tap into anyone we want because we're that powerful, because they're our creations. And that's what makes us as human beings, not human doings, but human beings. That's what makes us so powerful. And no one anywhere else, no other species is doing this but us here. And that's why we all want to come here. That's why everybody wants to be human. And that's why everybody wants to be a 3D human, because the awakening process is being cognizant in 3D. Everybody wants to get us to 5D. Love 3D first, slow down, be here in 3D in your physical body and be that galactic, multidimensional, conscious, aware being that you came here to be. Forget the 5D right now. It's all there. It's waiting for you. It's not going anywhere. Let's get to 3D first and love 3D and love our duality, because we have to have duality in order to create with. Then once we love 3D, then we'll easily become aware in 4D. Yeah, 4D will become easy then.
Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of questions in my head, but I think so. The first one would be, at what point does anything beyond the present as a human, with all of the code it's received, anything beyond that become a distraction to include channelings, downloads, past life experiences, future life progressions, and so on? Anything that keeps us out of being present in the present, at what point do those things become a distraction, or do they?
Here's my experience, Todd, because I channel every day for myself, for my clients, for my classes. Yes. When I am in my breath, which brings me in my physical body, which brings me into the now of being Sonia, this human person, everything is here for me. And when I'm in the breath and I simplify and I let the mind go up here into the field, I am open to receive all of the downloads from my higher self, which comes through the crown into my heart. That's what I literally feel. It's what I literally experience. And all of this information from my field and from my cells come out and come in and through. They come from multiple directions for all of us. And many people are tuned into this. I am tuned into this. And when I am here, I can tune into all of those lives and still be here. I can still be present. I can still be Sonia. I can still be conscious. I can still be third dimensional galactic human. Right here in the body, grounded. This body is an earthling body. It belongs to Earth. Therefore, I belong to Earth. I am here as an earthling. I am Earth. I am human. And I am being human when I'm here. And I'm also being all of those other realms. I'm being all of it because they're all now. You can tap into all of it because we're all, that's when the oneness comes in. And it's actually very practical. It's very real and very physical. We're here to do this and be really physical. Just saw another spark right there. We're here to be really, really physical, to be spiritual, to love ourselves. And sometimes you're not going to like everything that you do. Enjoy that you don't like everything that you do. Enjoy that you don't like every aspect of your personality, because you learn from those parts of yourself that you don't like. I don't learn about myself, the parts that I do like. It's the parts that I don't like that I really learn from.
Of course. Yeah. That's the value of the shadow. But like in terms of like, let's just say traumas, you talked about some kind of abuse occurring in your environment. You know, if we take that, let's say, as one point of context, and then take a past life memory as another, I was such and such in a previous life, and this is a life I led, and then off-planet recollection, and so on. Aren't these all essentially the same thing in terms of providing code and or information to us? Because at the end of the day, we still got to walk down the street and go to the grocery store, and having that connection available is all great. And as well as the wisdom from the shadows and the traumas and so on, but we're still conscious here. Even someone who's as sensitive as you is still carrying the vast majority of their consciousness when they're in the awake state. That's the dominant consciousness. That's the consciousness that's also a bit complicated because it has a mind and a heart and a mental and an emotional, and the physical, ego, and so on. There just seems to be a great purpose to the consciousness that we carry, which is not just one singular thing. It's made up of a multidimensional thing around the human body, let's just say, layers of consciousness into one consciousness. That seems to be the real evolution that we're having. I understand these other multidimensional aspects. I've experienced them in my own life, but are they any more or less important? And there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious. Are they any more or less important than the traumas, for instance, that we've endured in this lifetime?
No, they're all essential. They make up who we are as a whole being, who I am in another lifetime. All right, so I had a life, the life before this one, I was a famous Hollywood actor and a famous Broadway star, a male, a repressed homosexual. And that life, I didn't fully complete everything. I left my body in that life on July 23rd of 1966. And I came back into this body on June 11th of 1968. And I came in still kind of going through that life as that one. And I'll use the name Monty. That was the nickname that I had in that life, was Monty. And I've had this life confirmed. I've had this life confirmed through multiple hypnotists, including Dr. Bruce Goldberg, who wrote the book Past Lives, Future Lives. I worked with him back in the 90s, and they all came up then. That life rolls into this life. And that life, they all connect, because when you're consciously aware, it's like, oh, I see how that's playing out. I'm doing the same thing I did as Monty. Okay, what is it I didn't learn then that I want to learn? Let's learn it now. Let's be here now. Let's be conscious now. And let's use that life, or let me use that life that I have on Andromeda. I'm tuned into that life. I'm conscious enough that I can feel that that life in Andromeda is affecting this life as Sonia now. Let's see how they're connected. Let me use those connections, those fractals of myself, to really serve myself here. First, serve myself in self-love and healing. To serve the subconscious, the hidden self, which is really running the show. As we know, the subconscious runs the show, so that I can help others. Because what we want to do is we want to love all these aspects of ourselves, including the parts we don't know. And I truly feel, Todd, that in this current life for myself, I am never going to know all aspects of my subconscious self. I'm never going to know all aspects. Why would I want to? Why? Because then that gives me more to go into the next life. So I have this wonderful ability to be able to at least know as many aspects of myself from other lifetimes on this planet, from other lifetimes on other planet, from being on the ship of the Galactic Fed, from being a star. We're all stars and planets and cosmos and black holes and nebulas as well. So we have the ability to tap into all of that. We're all source. And so I can really be here, love all these intricate aspects of myself, and then serve others with that.
Yeah.
That's what I feel is what Ascension truly is. And I really do feel that this is what fifth dimensional perception is. Self-love, therefore service to the collective. On a very practical human level. We're taking 5D is not a place, as we know, and it's not, we're doing it in these bodies. 5D is physical. It is being here physical in self-love. So it's 4D, so it's 3D, so it's 2D, so it's 1D, all of them.
I have a couple of questions. One is, I've asked this question 2 or 3 times. I guess I should look it up. What's the difference between duality and polarity?
I don't
in
feel
your
like there's
mind,
any
because
difference.
the reason I ask that is because any timeline or dimension I've ever visited, particularly anything off planet, I've always found the egoic present. what I
The
would call
ego is necessary. Ego is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Ego, what I've experienced and what I've helped my clients experience and learn about and figure out, and this is also what their higher selves, all my clients, guides and higher selves have brought this in as well through all my sessions. We need the ego. The ego is our own personal vibration, our own special frequency, and we discover through our own personal signature. Let's call it a signature. When the soul has experienced trauma in other lifetimes, the ego gets distorted. You could almost call it like an inflammation. Like the ego is like this inflammation. It becomes inflamed and it's like the shield. It becomes a shield. Hey, wait. Don't hurt the soul. Don't hurt the body. Hey. And what it does though, it doesn't mean to, but it prevents us from experiencing them. When it's so inflamed, it prevents us from experiencing that. So we have to heal the ego, get it to calm down and to come back into the front, literally in the chakras, the main chakras in front of the body. So that again, we're experiencing all of our deliciousness, our different flavors, our different colors, our different sounds. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at there's purple. What's purple to you? Purple's different to you than it is to me. Your ego is the one that interprets that. So yes, when you leave your body, when you go to other places, the ego is there. The ego changes and grows and shifts and ascends with the whole thing, the whole system, the whole consciousness. It's all this oneness. So I forgot what was the other aspect of what you had presented.
Well, I was basically saying, let's say just for the sake of the question, that duality is something unique to the Earth or to planets like the Earth.
The difference between duality and polarity is what you were saying.
Polarity, yeah.
I don't see them as different. Okay. We don't see them as different. We have the negative, we have the positive.
Yeah, that's my point.
I don't see them as being different.
My point is if duality is just another name for polarity, and I don't know that it is or isn't.
I don't know
if it's something that's different energetically, it seems like I think everybody can concur on the fact that the 0 point field, the soul highway, as I like to call it, is the convergence of the 2 points of duality, which that would seem to make sense in other dimensional incarnations and experiences, that we're just going to serve ourself, serve our fellow soul, and serve the collective, the universal, in equal stride by merging polarities. Is merging duality the same thing as merging polarity? Now, I'm just curious what your thoughts are. There's no right or wrong answer, but it just seems like, I guess what I'm trying to get to is that as time goes on, the differences that we have with each other are for the purpose of this incarnation very real. Finding that middle ground seems to be the same template that works for us to navigate, let's say, with more ease and grace as we travel through the multiverses. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that maybe we've taken things a little too seriously here. And maybe that is that something.
We totally take all this too seriously because we're creating all of this and it's really fun. And it's supposed to be fun. This is fun. This is a playground.
Yeah.
Even though it's school can be fun. Learning is fun. Yeah. So here's how I would define polarity, since this is like forming right here in my whole field here. Polarity, I mean, you look at North and South Pole. Those are polarities. They're opposite ends. Well, how duality, the mirror image, duality, light and shadow. Light and shadow. We have to have both in order to create. If we're just light, that's great, but we get bored. We just do. We get bored with being light all the time. We want something different. So duality gives us difference. Polarity gives us difference. I don't see how they're different, and it's not in my experience that they are different. What I see of how to get to the 0 point field, to get into 0 point heart center, heart frequency center, is to love your duality. Enjoy the duality, the right and the wrong and the good and the bad and the masculine and the feminine. Enjoy them. Enjoy. This is where, and then this is just coming in now. This is where, like, we have a fear of sexual diversity. Like when the ego, when the closed off consciousness has a fear of homosexuality, of non-binary, gender neutral, of all of that. We're fearing that contrast within ourselves that teaches us about ourselves. So to accept your same sexes coming together, sexually and merging, to accept one that is calling themselves non-binary, gender neutral. And that's their path. That's their path to finding themselves. Maybe they're not non-binary, gender neutral, but maybe they want to identify with that in order to find different aspects of themselves, to really accept all of these differences, which is duality. Let's accept Republicans and Democrats. Can we just accept them instead of going, oh, forget the Republican? And I'm just as much at fault, Todd, as going, oh, let's stop all that. I mean, I've come to all of this conclusion through my own judgment of my own contrasting. Oh, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm so sick and tired of both of them, but we need both of them to show us the middle. Oh, I'm so tired of identifying as woman. Oh, I'm so tired of identifying as man, but we need both of them in order to come in the middle. We are all of it. Let's enjoy the duality of that so that we can find 0 point. 0 point is great. We can't stay in 0 point all the time. Can't create from 0 point. We have to create from duality. Let's enjoy 0 point, and then let's enjoy the duality. Let's, as you were saying earlier, let's have fun with all of it because it's a game.
I'm curious, like with your example of the life of as Monty, and how you're, cognizant of the things that kind of picked up where you left off. Like, can you give a couple of examples of how the rhythms of the unfinished business, let's just say, the ripples from the life as Monty, how they, kind of parlayed into the life that you have now? I mean, how did they show up?
Oh, it showed up, and I'm being asked to brought in 2 lives. So I had a Civil War life before that in the 1800s, and I was a male, and that life played out first. When I first came into this body, I had tooth problems when my molar came in on my right side, masculine side. It came in bad. My adult molar came in bad, and my parents had to rush me to a dentist early in the morning as soon as he woke up, and I had to have a medicated filling put in my brand new adult molar. And I was having these dreams the night before that I was in a tent. Everything was bloody. I could hear flies in blood, flies. I remember the flies thing. And they were over me. All these people were over me, these men, and they were going, just hang on there, soldier. They said, we're going to save your legs. And then I heard, we can't save your legs. And then somebody said, we can't find a stick to put in his mouth. And so somebody put a bullet in my mouth to bite down on because there was no anesthesia. And they began to saw off my leg from the knee, the patella down. And I was born with a mole, a big mole right here. And then that morning, the molar went bad. And then eventually I had to have both teeth removed because that life, the anger that I had about feeling like I was a pawn in the Civil War. I was just a pawn in the game. Right. And I remember like feeling angry with Lincoln. I was angry with Lincoln that he did this to us. He ruined my life. I was in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I left that body at age 42. It totally rolled over into this life, knowing that politics is a game that I don't want to play politics. I'm not here to play politics in this life as Sonia. I did it in that life. War is not the answer. That was something, Todd, that came in very early for me. War is not the answer. Love and actually go out and spread that word. Love yourself. Instead of war, do that. And that life played out. In the life of Monty, I had to go right into theater again because I felt like I didn't finish theater. So I went into theater as a 4-year-old. I had my very first performance in music in a stage in my dad's church in Chicago when I was 4. I remembered it. I started feeling male. I came into this body remembering having a penis, wondering what the heck happened to it. And I told my sister, where is it? Like, what? This is so weird. And it took me until I was 12, Todd, to stop missing masculine genitalia because I'd had 2 lives before this one where I was male. It affected everything about me. The Montgomery Clift life, that was the life, was the Montgomery Clift life. That life totally affected me in this way. He did not do well in Hollywood. I didn't do well in Hollywood. He really loved stage. I love stage, even down to he had an ear infection in his ear at a certain age, and I had the same ear infection in this life. All of it. It all played out. He was fraternal twins. He had a fraternal twin sister in that life. I came in as Gemini twins in this life. My sister and I, my sister was born June 9th, Gemini. I was born June 11th, Gemini. We were 3 years and 2 days apart. I kind of flipped things around and reconfigured and acted them out in this life to learn different aspects of myself that I didn't learn in that life, because in the life of Monty, I was angry with myself. There was a lot of self-rage going on, and that played out as soon as I came into this life. I had early rage. I didn't understand where it came from. And so I went into counseling, and then Dr. Bruce Goldberg was brought into my world in 1992. And through a learning annex class on group hypnosis. And I got into that, and I immediately regressed because I was obsessed with Hollywood. I couldn't understand why, when I moved to Los Angeles, I knew the entire freeway system.
Right.
I'd never been on it. How the heck would I know it? But I knew the 10 freeway. I knew the 5. I knew the 10, whatever it is, 101. I knew all of it. Why did I know that? That was back when they had a Thomas Brothers guide. I didn't need the Thomas Brothers map. I knew it by heart. I knew how to get to Marilyn Monroe's house in the Hollywood Hills, the one she died in. How did I know that? It was freaking me out. I knew all these things, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I'm literally yelling at my higher self, help me, because this is detracting me from my life. I'm obsessed with all these things, and they're coming in and I can't remember them. And they're literally they're distracting me when I go to an audition. So that's when I went into past life recall with Dr. Bruce. And that really helped me so much. So it was totally affecting this life. It was becoming obsessive.
What about
then when
what about, like, so you said he was a repressed homosexual.
He was, they had to hide him. They paired him up with Elizabeth Taylor, all of that.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just wondering, like, on more of the inner nuances of the soul, the human soul, like, and I've never really come across this type of opportunity to explore the evolution in the internal from the information and the rhythms of the previous life. So, like, in something like, if an individual, and I can only obviously guess to a degree, I mean, I've had there's been some homosexuals in my family. I've got obviously friends. I mean, it's not something I can speak to, but I can kind of guess or assume. But just from observing, for instance, most of the gay men that I know get along very easily with women.
Yeah.
They dress very nice. They have certain attributes and characteristics. But really, just to kind of like dig into this, because this is really, really kind of cool. So, like, for instance, coming from the life of a suppressed gay male and then going into this life, did you find it very easy to communicate with women? Did you get along with them well? Did you have any problems getting along with men? Did you see any kind of connection between that previous life and the one that's happening now?
What I experienced, these are awesome questions, by the way. What I experienced is, number one, my brother in this life is gay and repressed himself. So I played it out in a sibling connection, more of a mirror image back to me of that. Second of all, when I was a teenager, I thought I was bisexual. So I had a girlfriend. And then when I was in my early 20s, I had a second girlfriend, and I tried to have sex with her, and that was like repulsive to me. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I think I love men. I think I love men more. The third, we have a lot of queer people in my family. My middle child is transgender, female to male. So I said, you know what? I so understand the alternative, the other sexual identification. Send me a child, make one of my children a gay child or a bi child or whatever, because I'm going to understand them and know how to raise them better. So I was sent a trans child who thought that they were non-binary at first. And that was a transition into being trans. Mars is my middle child. So it played out in this life. Your middle
child's name is Mars?
Mars.
That's cool. What's your other children's name? Like, are they named
Colby is my oldest. He'll be 25 in just a couple weeks. And then Mars is my middle child, from Marissa to Mars.
Okay, I got you.
He took Mars out of Marissa to be more masculine. And then my youngest son is Kyan, Kyin, like Ryan, but with a K. It's Nigerian. Yes. So I played it out in that way. In this lifetime, the first thing that I notice is that I love boys. Like from a child, I was like, I love boys. And I felt more comfortable with males than I did with females. That was the first thing. I was very attracted to gay males. All my first boyfriends when I was in high school were all in the closet homosexuals. They used me. I've learned this term from my queer male friends. I was the beard. I was the false girlfriend. That's what I've learned. It's called the beard.
The beard.
The beard. Yeah, I was the decoy girlfriend so that their parents wouldn't realize that they're gay. So yeah, so I know I learned that term last year from one of my friends.
It actually fits the beard. I love that.
So I was the beard in high school for all of my gay male boyfriends that I was totally in love with. I was completely infatuated with gay boys. Loved gay boys. And of course I was in the theater, Todd. So there were like all the guys were gay except for one dude who had all the girls. And then I went to professional musical theater school after high school in New York City. All of the guys that I was attracted to were gay. So that's what that did. And then it just kind of, I was like, okay, I had to make a conscious decision.
You could see the carryover.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I'm attracted to I find it actually more attractive to see two men kiss than a male female kiss.
So that's
it plays out that way. It's a carryover.
So let me ask you before we get out of here a couple of questions. Yeah. Like I'm always interested to hear when someone like you comes on because of their connectivity and their connectivity to the things that you're connected to. What do you do when you get triggered? At this point, I know that may have evolved over the years, but like, what do you do? What happens to you when you get a real trigger?
First of all, I breathe. I have to be really conscious, really conscious. And I breathe. Like being a daily yogi, I've been practicing daily yoga for 25 years. So I know now that I have to breathe. And then I also know that I have to slow down because my energy is so quick. I have a really intense personality. It's a very mercurial. It's very fiery. So I have to really slow down. The biggest triggers that I have in my life are my parents, particularly my father, who is the abuser. That's the one who triggers me. Have I mastered it with him? I haven't. What I have to do with him is I have to accept him, first of all, that he is a trigger in my life. And I have to accept that he and I have discord, that we have difference and that there's difficulty with us. I have to accept it. I also get triggered. I only get triggered really, Todd, by the masculine in my family that don't love themselves. They don't love themselves and they project. There's a lot of, I would say, difficult males in my family, including the kid's father, my former husband. And I can get triggered by him a little bit, but I've done a lot of work on that one. But I breathe. And then sometimes I mess up. And sometimes I'm like, it hasn't happened in a long time. But if I yell, I just accept it. And then it's like, I'm yelling and then I laugh. I try to do my best to turn everything into humor. I do my best to turn everything into laughter and understand I'm creating this. This is my world. They're reflecting me back to me. Yeah. Hello, ego. This is you. Take responsibility for it, which is, it's easy for me to do because I have a moon in Capricorn. So it's all about taking responsibility for myself. I've done so much work on that, Todd, being, in my 50s, that it takes a lot to trigger me outside of my family. Like I don't take anything personally that anybody else would say to me. People say to me, whatever, your hair looks bad or, oh, you're fake or whatever. I mean, I've had people comment to me, oh, your light language is fake. Okay. It's fake to you. That's fine. It's not about me. That's about you seeing it being fake. It is what it is.
How do you, we all have antagonists, right?
Antagonists
that seem to have some carryover from previous incarnations, I might even add. And a lot of times it is a mother, father, sibling, that type of thing. If you look at, and it doesn't have to be your father, I'm not trying to get personal, but
like get personal, it's okay.
Well, for someone like you, because I think this is something that's important for people today. I think we're all learning, but how do you look into the eyes, so to speak, of let's just say your chief antagonist or your
my father.
Okay, let's just say in
I
this
do
case,
have to look in his eyes.
okay, or how does a person, or what would you suggest? Like, how do you look into the eyes of this chief antagonist and see a mirror of equality and divinity? How do you get to that point? Or is it always a work in process?
For me, currently, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
It is, because I don't see my father much. He literally just lives over there. Mm. And he doesn't come into my apartment much because he doesn't like himself. Mm-hmm. And because I am the most like him out of my siblings and myself. And we've talked about this. My father's also an alcoholic. He's not going to watch this show at all. He doesn't even know this exists. So I can say that. He doesn't, this is not even on his vibration. My father's an alcoholic. He's old. He's in his 80s. He has damned himself, and it's ancestral lineage. And literally last year, Todd, when we were talking about the scamdemic, and I used that word with him, this is a scamdemic. And he got really upset with that. My father is very programmed in that way. He's programmed to believe the narrative. And I literally hugged him. I took him into my arms. Like he was like, oh, you think you're so good? You think you know more than us? I grabbed him. He does that. That's his thing. I grabbed him. I held him because he triggers me. And I literally kissed him on the cheek, and I whispered into his ear, I love you, Dad. You're leaving right now because what you're saying to me is abusive. And I love myself, and I'm not taking this anymore. So I literally put my hand on his back and I pushed him out the door. And I said to him, I love you, Dad. And I love you over there.
Hey, bye. I love the honesty and the humanness of it. And then just in closing, like what you said earlier, the whole, and I'm big on laughter, huge. I mean, I love to laugh. I think we take things way too seriously. I think we make things much more than they are. And I think we're all learning this, but like what you said earlier about that, and with that, you said, one of the reasons, I'm just going to paraphrase, one of the reasons that I can do that and I can laugh is because I know I created everything. Yep. So when I look at an antagonist, and this is in particular with 3 or 4 that, obviously family members and they go way back, and they've been a real great mirror for me to kind of hone the soul, the whetstone to hone the soul. So I absolutely love and respect, and I'm always trying to learn. But if I created everything, and if you take an incident such as what you just experienced or what you just explained with your dad, I created that. I've had stages of this where I've gone, I created this, yet I can't see this person as an equal. And maybe some people might be, I can't see myself as equal too, but is there anything else that you could add to equalizing, bringing equilibrium to the old time antagonists that we all have, knowing that we've created them for our experience?
Accept them. One of the biggest points for me, at least a decade ago, Todd, was accepting that I am my father. That's the big work. I am him, and I want to see that dark masculine without me. And he's also my light masculine when he's being beautiful. He helps so many people, and he's just has a hard time with his own power. And I represent his power to him. Love that dualistic, polarized contrast of yourself. Appreciate them for showing you your light. Get bigger within yourself. Really practice self-love. I love myself. I love my heart. I love you, Dad. I've said to my dad so many times, Todd, I love you. I actually said to my dad once when he was drunk, thank you for being the asshole in my life, because I wouldn't be so bright if you hadn't. And I married you, Dad. I married you, and that guy, when are you going to get rid of that guy, is what he said to me. You married, my father signed our marriage thing because he's a minister. I'm like, you signed that. He's you. You're me. He's me. And we can't learn without it. And he was drunk and he was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
You have to laugh at it.
What a powerful hour and 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh, has it already been that time?
Fast paced. And
I know.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. It's a pleasure to meet you after all this time. And
it's wonderful to meet you. I'm honored.
I wish you the very best always. All blessings to you and your family.
Thank you.
And in all your endeavors. And if you see Pamela give her a shout out from Todd and just tell her I say hello. Big love to
I
you.
will. Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate you and your family. Be well.
Thank you. All right. Take care, everybody. All right. We'll be back in like an hour and a half with